Okay, so now that we've got our form, the next step is to create the query that's going to be able to add whatever we've typed in here into the suppliers table. And it's a special type of query. So if we go to create query design, now actually we're only concerned with the suppliers table, by the way, but I'm going to close the properties here for a second. Now, this is not just a regular query, it's a special query. The usual queries that you're used to using are called select queries, but this is actually an append query. So what we actually, as you can see, if you hover over it, says make the query add records to an existing table. And that's obviously what we want this query to actually do. So when we click on that, before we do anything else, we just click on that and it tells us, well, where do we want the query to append to? And where we do want it to append to is, of course, into the suppliers table. So we pick that, and then that's that. Now, you'll see that what it means is we've got an extra line in the query grid which says append to, but we'll come back to that later on. Now, the purpose of this is to basically go and look at the form and lift from the form the values that are in the boxes and then put them into fields in the actual database. And so the way to do this is, obviously we're going to have 4 lines in here, and the first of these is basically going to be lifting the supplier ID from the form and then putting in the supplier ID in the suppliers table. So I might need my form closed while I do this, by the way. That's one thing to watch out for. So now, and I'm also going to just stretch out nice and big, because we might need this to be able to see. I'm going to make sure that I've just hovered over the little grey bit there and stretched it out so they've got plenty of room to actually work with. Now, I don't have to type anything here. I can just use the builder, right? Okay. And if I go to my query tools, which is just up here, query tools, as you can see, design, you'll see that I've got the option to use the builder. And what the builder will allow me to do, it'll allow me just to kind of like go through this little menu here and find what I'm actually looking for. Now, what I'm actually looking for is, I'm looking for my form, and I'm looking for the ID field from that form. So if I look here, we're in where it says Part B database, right? So if I open up with the little plus, now obviously I'm looking for the form, which is the new supplier form. And if I just look in all forms, you'll see there's new supplier. I'm going to click on that. You'll see I get a list of all of the elements that are actually on that form. Now, this is where it was obviously really useful to rename the text boxes so that they were meaningful. Because of course, if they were just called text 0 or text 3 or text 5, we wouldn't know which one was which. And therefore, it obviously makes sense that we could give them meaningful names. And so therefore, as you can see, there is TXT supplier, so the text box for that. And all I do is, there's TXT supplier ID, and I just double click on it, right? And that's it. So now this appears, and I just go, OK, and that's it, basically. I don't need to worry about the EXPR1. It doesn't make any difference if I change that or not. It's not going to affect anything. So I'm just going to leave it. And again, I'm going to go to the builder for the second field. So go back to forms, all forms, new supplier, and then there's the supplier's name. So TXT supplier, double click on it, OK, happy days. Next, builder, forms, all forms, new supplier, and the supplier telephone number. So there it is, it's in, double clicked, and OK. Go back. And last one is just the delivery days. So forms, all forms, new supplier, TXT Dell days. There it is. Okay, so OK, boom. Now, so I've got 4 columns in here, and actually I'll just narrow them in a little bit. If it crops them off, it's not, that's just for readability. You'd obviously, in your screenshot, what you want to do is you want to make sure that the full detail of that can be read. But just so that I can fit everything in on the screen at the moment, I'm just going to I'm just going to, I'm not going to, just going to do that. Right, okay, just so I can fit them all in. Now, so the only thing I need to do here, very simply, is where it says append to, I should, in my drop-down, get a list of all the fields from the supplier's table. And all I have to do is match up the fields from the form with the fields in the table. So append to, well, supplier ID, next box, supplier, next box, telephone number, next box, delivery days, right? And that basically is it. So if I save, now the cool kids save append queries with the prefix of QApp, okay? So add supplier, because that's what the purpose of the query is. So rather than Q or Y, which is just what I would have done with my regular queries, I'm going to call this QApp add supplier. And if I click OK, you'll see that when it appears at the side, you'll even see that the little icon for it is a little bit different because it's got a little plus. So you need to check that obviously you have this to make sure that you've done it right. So that's the query. Now if I was going to test to see if it actually works, again, make sure that it's saved, close it down, and let's see if it works. So I can test if it works by opening up my new suppliers form. If I just double click on that, you'll see that it's already pre-populated with a 6, okay? So Ben's shirts, see if I got that right. Let's see, for one too many, right? Is it? Right, okay. Now, and then delivery days, let's put a valid value in, 4. Now, so, I've filled this in. Oh, by the way, I've just realized one other thing that we should have actually done with the supplier and the telephone number, right? And what that is I should have put is not null. So I'm just going to flick back here to design view for the form and go to properties just, and I'm going to go data validation rule is not null, sorry, because that means that if it was left blank, actually I don't need to actually. Actually, I tell you what, yeah, it's probably easier to do it that way because you're so used to is not null. There's 2 ways of doing it, but we'll just go is not null, and then you need to go need supplier name. And then for this one, do the same. Validation rule is not null. This actually might save us some extra work in the macro, and therefore in that case this might be a slightly easier way to do it. So is not null, and go need supplier telephone number, right? Okay. Okay. So anyway, so that hopefully should help. Now, so, sorry, just going back here, right? So I've got Ben's shirts, and now I've got my data filled in. So with the form open, if I just double click on my append query from the side, so I don't want to open it in design view, I just want to just double click on it to run it. It says you're about to run an append query that will modify data in your table. Now, click OK. You're about to append 5 rows. I don't actually want to append 5 rows. I've done something wrong there. I'll tell you what it is. Do you know what I have done? I don't need the table in here, so remove table, sorry. My fault. Try now. Yeah, there it is, sorry. Yeah, so we're about to append one row. Okay, and if I look inside suppliers, I see Ben Shirts is in there now. Okay, right. So that'll conclude the append query